You know, it's been my firm belief that when a movie franchise is popular and you want to make more, you make more then. Not wait 10 years and then make more now. That's what the Hunger Games franchise did. Anyway, guys, welcome back to another movie review. As already stated, my topic today is the new Hunger Games movie, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games franchise. It is titled Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Wow, I'm actually amazed I got the title right on the first try. But anyway, that's beside the point. The premise of this movie is basically this movie tells the story of President Snow before he became known as President Snow and the tyrannical dictator that we all know that Katniss Everdeen rose up against. The first interesting thing I like to point out about this movie is the setting. Like, in the Hunger Games franchise, usually things were taking place, like, in one of the districts or things like that. I mean, it only was in the capital when things were, like, glamorous. But, I mean, this movie basically takes place in the capital, like, everyday life when things aren't so glamorous, where class is basically everything. Though, I'm sure a lot of Hunger Games fans already knew that, who have read the books and watched the movies and are diehard fans. But Snow is from a class that technically is, like, dying out. They were once really high class, but now they're kind of, like, low on funds and, like, lowest. And so nobody likes him. But he is trying to do what he can to keep his family alive and keep his family's name out there by being a mentor to one of the tributes of the Hunger Games. So it was nice to get that perspective from him. Like, before he was a dictator, he had, like, some kind of human heart, in a way, to actually mentor one of these tributes. Before I move further, let's actually stay on the Capitol for a second. I mean, the Capitol was, like, a big thing to me. Because, I mean, we didn't get a lot of that in the franchise, except when big things were going down. So, I mean, that was interesting to see it, like, in everyday life. Because, like I stated before, the only time we were seeing really getting glimpses of the Capitol in the original Hunger Games franchise was when big spectacles were going on, like when there were parades introducing the tributes, or when people were watching the Hunger Games go on. So, I mean, it was nice to get that perspective. Also, it's a very old-fashioned looking place, so, I mean, it's like everything looks kind of analog. It's not futuristic like in the original franchise. But then again, this movie is taking place 64 years in the past, so of course, things aren't going to look really the same. Although Snow is the main character in this story, the main focus is not on him, which is what I liked most of all, that this main focus of this movie wasn't on him and his rise to power. The main focus, which was actually the thing that caught my eye more than anything, was the Hunger Games themselves. I mean, during this movie, it's the 10th year of the Hunger Games. So, and they're trying to think about how they can make it into the huge, spectacular show that we know it as from the main franchise. I mean, as we all know from the Hunger Games, it's a huge spectacle already. But in this movie, it's not like that here. It's still just the Hunger Games. So that's one focus there. They're trying to figure out how to make this like the big spectacle we know it as, while also hiding the fact that, you know, these tributes are actually prisoners hiding in plain sight. Because, I mean, they're all getting these great looking fantasies. They look awesome. They look amazing. I mean, but they all know only one's going to live to see tomorrow. Now let's talk about the cast of this film. Let's start with our main character, of course, Snow, who is played by Tom Blythe. And let's just say he played Snow really well. I mean, he is like the complete opposite of what Snow was when Donald Sutherland played him. So, I mean, like I stated before, this is not about Snow's rise to power. So it was nice to see a perspective of him from a different angle, like while he still had a human heart. Because, I mean, in that original series, he had no heart anymore. So, I mean, it's interesting to see that perspective as him as a mentor, like trying to keep his family alive in a system where, you know, entertainment is basically watching people kill themselves. It was nice to see that perspective and how he still somewhat cares for one of them. Viola Davis also did a good job. I mean, she is the game maker in this movie. She really got into her role. She was really enjoying it. I mean, I could tell she was enjoying, like, she was actually setting up this game for real. And you know when an actress or actor is really getting into their role, showing that much enjoyment, then you know the audience is going to enjoy it too as well. So yes, Viola Davis, great job, in my opinion. Then we have Peter Dinklage, and he is playing the character that is the father of the Hunger Games. He is the one who created it. And I'm going to be honest, I can't shit on Peter Dinklage, not on his performances, because he always plays a great character no matter what role you put him in. So, I mean, since he is, of course, playing the one who is the father of the Hunger Games, that means he's the character with the big brains, which he's used to playing. I mean, he's played a lot of big brain characters before. And finally, we have Rachel Zegler, or Zegler, actually. She doesn't have an I in her name. My bad. She plays Lucy Gray Bard, who is the District 12 tribute that Snow mentors. And before that, she is actually part of a musical group. And after hearing her sing, it's obvious why they picked her, because she can sing. Though, other than that, such a disappointment. I mean, she is supposed to be our main female actress in this movie because she's supposed to have mutual feelings with our main character, Snow, here, while he is mentoring her. So I expected a lot of things from her, only to later find out that they just made her like some washed up Katniss Everdeen wannabe, completely unoriginal. So, I mean, she was a big disappointment. Unfortunately, our female lead wasn't our only disappointment. I mean, this movie is split into 3 acts. So, I mean, we got our first, our second, and our third. Or, beginning, middle, end. So, I mean, beginning act was good. Second act was good. The final act, boring. And also, it was actually very rushed, too. I mean, you have a 2.5-hour movie and you feel a need to rush the final act. I don't understand that part. Honestly, also, I don't understand how it's possible to rush a final act and still be boring at the same time. I mean, I feel like with a final act that's rushed, you would usually miss a few things, or if a final act that was boring, it just feels like one that's dragged along. This is the first time I saw a final act that was both rushed and boring at the same time. I don't know how that's possible. Also, the final payout for Snow was very disappointing as well. I mean, I was expecting a little bit better ending for him, because, I mean, since this was supposed to be his main character moment while he's still human, but instead we get like, oh, he's gone through it, he's done with it, now time to move on to the next step of raising my empire. So, I mean, I'm like, what the hell happened? What did he see? Such a bad payoff. This is something that probably would have been better as a television series that we would see on FX or even HBO Max at that, so we can get a little more juicier with the fights and the Hunger Games event. But, I mean, knowing Snow's past wasn't really something that interests me. To know that this guy who is just a normal mentor will later become the prick that we all hate, that really didn't interest me. But it would have been better to see them like kind of build up how they got the Hunger Games to be what they are. That's why I think it would have been a better as a series. I'm going to give Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a B-. I mean, the story of Snow was not really what intrigued me. It was the story of the Hunger Games, of course. And also, as a side note, these people they're picking to do the CGI process and the VFX shots, they really need to fix their game or find out what's going on. I mean, I know things are probably tough for them right now in Hollywood since the strike is now just ending or has just ended recently. But, I mean, some of these shots are looking like, wow, that was definitely a green screen there. And, I mean, it was really hard to miss. So, I mean, CGI, it's got to get better. Okay, well, that just about wraps up this review. If you guys have seen this new Hunger Games movie, please comment here down below what your thoughts were on it. Also, if you like my other videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.